Alright, the title of the video is how Barcelona's Remontada was a setback. Now, in this video, I will be discussing the match, and then I will be discussing the effects of the match, but first I want to give a quick pretext to the match and how the overall season was going for Barcelona. Now, the campaign before in the 2015-2016 season saw Barcelona win La Liga and the Copa del Rey, which in fact is not a bad season for the Catalonian-based club. Now, for some people, or possibly the board, they felt that this wasn't enough and that the trio of Messi, Suarez, and Neymar was enough for the club to be challenging at the top and to be winning the Champions League consistently. That season they did go out, but they went out to another club in Spain, Atletico Madrid, in the quarterfinals, losing out just by 2 goals in the second leg. Now, coming into the start of the 2016-2017 season, the La Liga campaign did not start off well for Barcelona. There were a couple of tough games. They suffered some early losses, and right around the November part of the season, they were drawing in a lot of really easy games where they were struggling to maybe create some chances. And so then came their draw against PSG in the round of 16, and in the first leg of the match, PSG had beat Barcelona 4-0. Now, this wasn't like the match where Barcelona had beaten Liverpool 3-0, where it wasn't that Barcelona was dominant over Liverpool. It was more of a game where PSG were dominating Barcelona, and they had won outright 4-0. And so a lot of people felt that maybe this was really bad for Barcelona because of the fact that PSG was known to be a joke team when it came to playing in the Champions League. They weren't really outright contenders every year. They were given a lot of hype. People would always hype them up, but then people would very quickly, look down on them because of the fact that they play in Ligue 1. So a lot of people were really taken away by this win by PSG, a dominant win against former champions, the record-breaking MSN trio, and a club like Barcelona, a club that is very well known for beating PSG in the Champions League and dominantly. Come the second leg, Barcelona needed to score 4 goals in this match to at least get into extra time. Within the first 5 minutes of the match, Barcelona get their first goal, meaning they now need to get 3 in the next, 85 minutes. And they also have a halftime break in between to, fix any problems or make any adjustments. Barcelona then get their next goal at the 40th minute. It was an own goal by Kurzawa, but overall, it's still good for Barcelona. They need 2 more. They don't really care how the goals are gone. Come the second half, Barcelona get their third goal at the 50th minute. It was a Messi penalty. Then this is where I feel like the game really should have been PSG's. Barcelona then concede to PSG. It was a Ederson Cavani volley in the 62nd minute. And so watching this game, I believe that it looked like Barcelona had begun deflating. They felt like, they were really losing their grip on the game. They felt like they couldn't do it, especially since throughout the game, Barcelona were struggling to create chances. This was a game in where Barcelona were creating a lot of chances. We see 17 total attempts, but only 7 were on target, 5 were off, 5 were also blocked. Now, there were a lot of, I would say, people that didn't think that after that first goal by PSG that they would be able to get back in, but, then came Barcelona's 4th goal in the 80th minute from a Neymar free kick. Now, the game, I think everyone believed that at that point the game was done and dusted. Neymar got a nice free kick, nothing more than that, but then a couple minutes later in the 91st minute, Barcelona get a penalty from a Suarez well-known dive, and Barcelona convert that penalty. Neymar scores that penalty under all that pressure. He needs to score that goal to, at the very least, give Barcelona any hope that anyone had left. 4 minutes later, Barcelona get another free kick, and from that free kick, Neymar assists the final goal, and Barcelona win the match 6-1. Now, you may be wondering, why do I think that this game was, to Barcelona's demise? Now, it's very simple. In football, The true teams are the teams that perform, the true caliber winning teams are the teams that perform well in and well out throughout the year. A club like Liverpool consistently performed well. Real Madrid, when they still had Ronaldo, Benzema, and Bale, they were one of the top, consistently performing teams in the world. Consistency is a way to determine who the championship winning teams are. PSG, they may be consistent in their league, but when it comes to top opponents, they are very inconsistent. Now, you may be wondering, what happened after this game? Did Barcelona go on to win the Champions League? They ended up losing to Juventus in the next round. They lost 3-0 to Juventus in Turin and had come to play at the Nou Camp and had lost 0-0. Now, I will very quickly go back to the match against PSG and the aftermath very quickly after that match. After that match, there was an image that was surfaced around, as you can see on screen now, of Messi. Now, Messi is obviously the icon of Barcelona. No doubt he has taken the club to great lengths. They've won many trophies. He himself is one of the best footballers of all time. But I believe in the context of this match and the context of the summer before the season started, that is what led to Neymar's leave. Neymar would want to leave Barcelona because in that previous summer, PSG had inquired Barcelona about signing Neymar. Now, when clubs go to sign players, they obviously try all they can get to sign them. They try swaying them with wages. They try swaying them with, being the leader of the team, the star of the team. They can choose their manager. They can choose who they want to play with. There's a lot of factors that go into this. Now, Neymar was a up-and-coming player. I believe at the time of this match he was 26. The prime of any player, especially an attacking player's career. And Messi was, I believe, 29. He was a bit on the older side of any attacking footballer. Now, similarly to when Ronaldinho was at Barcelona, obviously there was an age gap between when Messi came out of La Masia, Barcelona's academy, and when Neymar joined Barcelona. There is a bit of an age gap, but in essence, the thought is still the same. You have your experienced star player who is now working with this younger talent to then usher on to the next generation of the team. Neymar was obviously going to be that next generation of the team. He was the youngest, he was one of the youngest attacking players in the world, one of the best players in the world, and so eventually when Messi would retire or leave Barcelona, the baton would be passed on to him. Now, for these types of players, some of these players, they're all different, and some of them want to be, the top player. They want to be known. They want to have the extravagance on their name. For Neymar, after that match, no doubt he was the best player on the pitch that day. He had scored a free kick, scored a high pressure penalty, and also had assisted the last goal. Now, I'm not saying that Messi is the worst performing player out of that trio, and I'm not saying that Messi doesn't deserve any credit. I am saying, though, that the credit that Messi got for that match could have led Neymar to believe that he couldn't pursue a great career at Barcelona or a career that he desired of leading a team, of being the face of a club. That's why there's that famous joke of he left Barcelona to get out of Messi's shadow and is now at PSG where he's under Mbappe's shadow, because that is what he wanted. He wanted to be the star. He wanted to be the face of the club. Now, if we look at the stats of Messi, Suarez, and Neymar, we see that Messi had actually scored the majority of the goals. Messi had scored, I believe, 273 goals and had 119 assists in 293 appearances. Suarez had 270 appearances with 190 goals and 95 assists. Neymar had 145 appearances, 90 goals, and 47 assists. This is including all competitions over the seasons that they played together. Over the 4 seasons that they had played together, that is what I am looking at in terms of their goals and assists. Now, the reason for Neymar's such low number in games played is because he was injury-ridden towards the end of his tenure at Barcelona. I believe in the last 2 seasons he had began to pick up more injuries and was overall, maybe feeling that, he didn't want to play as much. Maybe he wanted to take more time off. He's very known for having his extravagant style and doing his own thing off the pitch. Also, another factor for Barcelona's loss is that in the at the end of that season, Barcelona had only won the Copa del Rey trophy. Now, the Copa del Rey trophy is not a trophy to boast about. It's good to maybe win with like maybe the Champions League or with La Liga, and you can call that a good season. But just winning the Copa del Rey is not good enough for a manager. During that season, Messi and Luis Enrique were apparently or allegedly having arguments, and the player Messi was upset with how the manager was playing, or I don't know exactly what the details of the situation were, but however, it ended up leading to Luis Enrique's sacking as the manager of Barcelona. Their decision making is probably that Messi, our best player, our face of our club, we want to keep him happy, we want to keep him around, and so that is the decision that they made. Now, this then leads to now let's look at Barcelona present day. Neymar's at PSG. He's getting injured more. He hasn't really won the Champions League. Barcelona hasn't played great football, or they haven't been playing great for these past couple seasons. You can only take them with a grain of salt, because it doesn't seem like Barcelona's playing, that great football that we know them for. Now, currently, I want to talk about Barcelona's future, as a club. Now, a lot of people joke that Barcelona is nothing without Messi, and I truly believe that this is something that, can be real if they do not, make the right decisions, or if they don't, prepare for the future. Their current manager is on a contract where if Barcelona if they want to sack him at the end of this season, obviously depending on how they believe when the season really does end, but if Barcelona do want to sack this manager, they can sack him free of charge. Now, I believe that Barcelona made this kind of decision because over the pond, if we look at the English League, the Premier League, one of the top clubs, Manchester City, recently just got banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons, and their manager, Pep Guardiola, is coming to the end of his contract. Now, a lot of people say, oh, Guardiola's already said that he'll stick with Manchester City. In football, people will say things. In the world, people will say things. That doesn't mean, that privately they're thinking, they're thinking something else. So I believe the reason Barcelona put this in this manager's contract is because they want to at least try and contact Guardiola when his contract does end at Manchester City, and maybe they can, talk to him. They can try and tell him to come back to Barcelona, try and keep Messi happy. And another thing I see possible is that Barcelona does buy back Neymar. Obviously, they'll buy him back for a lot less than what they paid for. But currently, with the club in debt and the president, Bartomeu, having trouble with Messi and Messi getting frustrated with the board, I don't see it possible that they'll be able to buy another expensive player, especially since just this summer they had bought Antoine Griezmann for a lot of money. I don't know exactly the amount, but it was a lot. They had bought Ousmane Dembele. They recently just bought De Jong as well. So Barcelona, I don't think will be making any big name transfers unless they're able to sell someone or some players for a decent amount of money. Players like Piqué, Busquets, possibly Vidal, maybe Suarez. Suarez is maybe getting a bit old. He's too slow. Maybe they can play, Griezmann at striker. Now, Neymar's impact at Barcelona may not be the greatest in terms of goals. Sometimes, teams... sometimes players can have great impact, but without having an extraordinary amount of goals. Paul Scholes is one, Xavi, Iniesta. There's a lot of midfielders out there who are known for having great impact, but they just don't have the goals or the assists to back it up. Now, I believe that this MSN trio is one of those trios that can back that up. They were a dominant force. They may have not, Neymar himself may not have had a lot of goals or assists, but his impact and his creativity and his ability to, play and drag defenders, and his ability to work with Messi is something that Messi himself seems to be reminiscing. It seems like that's why he wants Neymar back, because he likes playing with him. He likes playing with Neymar's creativity. He likes being able to expose the defender's mistakes, by their focus not just being on Messi himself. That's a lot of the problems when Messi goes and plays for the Argentinian national team. Everything goes through him, so it makes it very easy for the opposing team to just simply lock down Messi and limit Argentina's creativity. That's what allowed Messi to be so effective in this MSN trio. That's not to say that Messi isn't effective, today or last season or, the season before that. But it is important to allow a player to be open, to have his space. Messi is very well known for wanting to dribble, or he wants to run in behind the defense, and to do those things you need space. Now, either players like Neymar, Xavi, and Iniesta, they were able to create that space for Messi by being able to also control the team, control the tempo of the team, and not just allow everything to be on Messi's shoulders. That's why these past couple seasons, when Xavi, Iniesta, and Neymar have all left the club, we've seen that Barcelona really doesn't have any variant to creativity. Everything's going through Messi. A lot of people criticized Valverde for that, and they're correct for criticizing him for that. He wasn't able to, have any other players create other than just Messi, and I believe that's what's also led to Barcelona's demise. All that pressure being on one player to truly, lead a team, create for a team. Possibly Messi is probably the only vocal voice in that team as well. With players like Piqué, I don't necessarily know if he's outspoken or if he's someone who likes to be a leader, but I believe that is something that Barcelona is also suffering from, a leader, someone who can hold the team. Before Xavi was Puyol. If we look at Barcelona, they were known for producing great academy talent, and this is something that has plagued them in the past recently. They've been having to fork so much money for players outside of their academy because they haven't been able to produce great academy talent. Now, one name that was out there was a player named Xavi Simons. I believe he was French, or no, sorry, he's Dutch, and he was part of Barcelona's academy, and he was given a lot of hype. A lot of people dub him to be the next great player. I don't know his exact age, but he's a teenager. And recently, he too left the Barcelona academy to go play for PSG's academy. And the reason behind that is because PSG was willing to pay him a lot of money to come play for their academy. And so PSG currently, they have the money to build the next dynasty. They have Mbappe. They recently just bought Icardi. Neymar is still there. If he can remain injury-free, maybe he could win a Champions League in a year or two. But Barcelona is truly on a path to, no man's land. No one knows where they're going. Messi's reaching a point in his career where he's getting injured way more frequently. This is something that has never plagued him through his career. He's been fairly devoid of injuries. So now that we see that he's reaching the ripe age of 30, he is now, maybe feeling all that pressure, that stress of having to carry the team. Suarez hasn't been performing that great these past couple seasons. And recently, Barcelona has been switching managers. I wouldn't say frequently, but they haven't given any of their managers the ability to go out there and maybe buy. That's maybe something that the board can be criticized for. But Barcelona, in their current state, is a mess. They have a lot of problems, and I believe that if these problems are not fixed, maybe by bringing in Guardiola and he's able to, give the academy players and teach them, or maybe if they get back Neymar and they start building with him and Messi again, they can win and then they can attract more players. But I believe that if Barcelona doesn't take any action, I believe we could see Messi retire early, or, because of his injuries, maybe he's feeling that he can't deal with it anymore. Maybe we see him retire early, or we see the possibility that Messi leaves the club altogether. Now, a lot of people say, oh, Messi would never leave Barcelona. He would never do this. That is why I left. That's why I left in the idea that he retires there. I don't want to say prematurely, but he retires there maybe a bit early than what everyone was expecting. They were expecting him to maybe carry on for a bit longer. Now, those are the reasons why I believe Barcelona's supposed biggest night or best night in football was actually a setback. The amount of attention that was given to Messi inadvertently had told Neymar that he couldn't be a star player at Barcelona no longer. He couldn't become a bigger player. He couldn't get the attention that he desired, and so that was what led to his leave to PSG. The Barcelona president, Bartomeu, didn't like how Barcelona ended that season, and so sacked Luis Enrique, Barcelona's best manager since Pep Guardiola's leave. And furthermore, Barcelona's president himself, Bartomeu, hasn't been leading the club in the right direction and has racked up debt, and in turn is making Barcelona's best player and their future, if they do not get these decisions right, supposedly or allegedly retire early. Now, if you like the video, leave a like. If you have any ideas for me to discuss or any topics, leave them in the comment section. If you have any ideas of your own, or if you have anything to say to what I believe is the reasons for why this wasn't Barcelona's best night, then leave your opinions in the comment section below.